COVID-19 pandemic has changed university graduation profoundly for the 8.7 million Chinese members of class 2020. Many of them can't go back to campus to receive their diplomas in a traditional graduation ceremony, or express their appreciation to their teachers or fellow students, or even say goodbye to their classmates. So how are the students and also their teachers feeling about it? And what innovations have they come up with to shape a unique collective memory of this milestone and start a new journey in their lives when most events are taking place online? To find out more, I'm pleased to be joined by Fan Dian, President of Central Academy of Fine Arts, Ding Xin, a member of the medical team that went to Wuhan from Peking Union Medical College Hospital, Li Chonglin, a graduate from the Wuhan University class of 2020, and Lorenzo Bottarello, an Italian graduate student in Chongqing University's class of 2020. That is our topic. This is Dialogue. I'm Zhou Yue. So let me start with you, Chonglin. You are from Wuhan University, and you made a graduation video entitled From Beginning to Unexpected Ending. It has got a lot of attention online. First of all, tell us about the video, how it came about, and what do you want to say with the video?
Okay, so it is basically a convention for our school to produce a music video each year in memory of the graduation. So this year is truly special because of the outbreak of the pandemic, and also Wuhan is the center of the outbreak. So it was very possible for us to go back to the campus to complete a video in a traditional way. So that determines that most of the productions of the movie has to be conducted online. And our team just thought we need to engage as many students as possible into the production process. And we want to integrate the different clips from different authors and to make it into successes. So we initiate like a graduation vlog rally race on the social media platforms, encouraging all our students to upload their video clips during the past 4 years, and we will collect them and integrate them. And this video actually received unexpectedly harmonious integrations, and I thought the reason behind might be we shared the memories and emotions together. And actually, I remembered one comment stating that I don't know them, but I feel like to be a part of them. So for me, the video just provides some kind of power and encouraged us to let us face right up to the tragedy and our frustrations on the loss of time to stay with our classmates. And that's what I want to say.
I understand that that pandemic also changed the lives of yours and your fellow classmates. How difficult was it for you and your fellow classmates to produce such a video as you were supposed to live in quarantine?
Yes, we have to design a series of process of how to collect the videos and how to make the videos in accordance with the lyrics we want to produce. So we want to explicitly express our frustrations and our feelings of the loss of the lives and our loss of opportunities to go back to school. So it is absolutely a tragedy for the city we lived for 4 years, and we want to use a creative way to produce the video. And throughout the process, we have to manage time really efficiently because we want to maximize our limited amount of time to produce the movie. So that is basically the most difficulties I faced up with.
And Lorenzo, I think at the 2020 graduation ceremony of Chongqing University, your alma mater, your speech and also the way you talked, because you talked in the local dialect, has actually cheered up the graduation ceremony. Why did you not go back to Italy in the very beginning, and how did you manage to live in a quarantine life in Chongqing?
In the beginning, actually, I was a little bit scared. I thought about going back to Italy, but then ultimately I realized that I didn't feel any danger here because the situation was handled really well, and I've seen the people, the Chongqing people, and all the Chinese. I said that in my speech, like cooperating to fight this pandemic. So I never really felt the urge to go back after it began. I always felt really safe in Chongqing. And of course, the pandemic affected our lives, but ultimately in China, it was really easy to live. Like the most annoying part was having to be confined at home.
Yeah.
But everything else was like everything was available, and even like the Chinese internet web marketing is really developed. So every issue could be solved immediately. So I actually am happy that I didn't go back to Italy because in Italy it would have probably been more difficult.
And you're a student of management, is that it? And how was that final year of study in Chongqing in a different world and different environment affect your graduation?
Well, first of all, our dissertation was online, so this was a big difference. I think it was the first time that Chinese universities did this online dissertation. But every other aspect was basically the same. Like I just had to write down my thesis, like during the lockdown period, finish the last part of my thesis, and the biggest difference was actually not being able to go to university till like last month, and so yeah.
Well, the pandemic erupted in Wuhan, but it spread to the rest of the world, and you talked about global cooperation in your graduation speech. How did it get received by your fellow classmates and young students as well as teachers?
First, I could speak as an Italian, and I also said this in my graduation speech. I saw really our two countries cooperating in a manner that really touched me, and I think that this is one of the most important things for the world right now, to develop this kind of cooperation feeling between nations instead of fighting each other. And for all the other students, like I can talk from the point of view of the university. The university was like caring for us every day, like contacting us every day, both the students that decided to stay in China and the students that went back to their countries, or even some students that were abroad in that period, because maybe during the Spring Festival someone went to other countries for vacation, and the university was always keeping in touch with all of us to check our situation. So I think the majority of people were really, really happy about this.
And Chongling, how do you feel going back to campus again after the lockdown? And what is it like at your graduation ceremony? I suppose it is online.
Yeah, so we cannot complete the graduation ceremony in the campus, and that is a great loss for us. And when I finally managed to get back to the campus, I just felt so unreal, because everything in the campus just remained as ordinary and normal as it used to be, and just unimaginable that after the pandemic hits the cities, the campus just remained the same, and the sense of familiarity still reminds me of the past 4 years in that campus. And for the online graduation ceremony, we just wear our the bachelor robe in front of the TVs, and some of the lucky guys could join the ceremony. And
how many of them?
Special feeling.
What is the percentage that can really show up?
It's lower than 8%
Okay,
might be.
so less than 1 out of 10 people can actually go back
Yeah.
to campus. Okay.
No, yeah, that's the point.
But usually at the final weeks and months of the graduation, the students who are about to graduate from campus usually enjoy the time to have dinner together, to enjoy each other, have some talk and laugh. Do you miss that?
Actually, our university provided us with like 3 to 4 days to pack all the stuff from the campus, but it only allows about 2. Like we have the dormitory for 4 person, but only 2 person are allowed to go back to the dormitory. So it is a real loss because we cannot meet all the friends in the campus, and that's a great loss. But we are also kind of figuring out the other approaches to meet each other. Yeah.
But in a sense, it's going to be a very unique graduating experience for everybody this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Ding, I know you are alumni representative for the graduation ceremony of Tsinghua University, and you talked at that occasion. You talked about all bravery, aspiration for the young graduates. How did the message get across to the graduates at Tsinghua? And has the experience of you working in the front line in Wuhan changed your understanding about being a doctor?
In the earlier outbreak in this COVID-19 epidemic, we just came to Wuhan at in about February. And at that time, even the experts knew little about the virus and the disease. And we often heard the news about many patients died of this disease, including some medical staff. So when we came to Wuhan and we have to treat these patients face to face, everybody was afraid, more or less.
Yeah.
You just, no one can just be, I didn't afraid of the virus. But as doctors, it's our duty to treat these patients. So we have to overcome this fear to accomplish the work. And thanks to the staff in the hospital, we have the highest level of personal protection equipment, and all of my teammates were protected very well. And my experience in Wuhan not just include the medical staff, but also many people from different professions. We met many people, including journalists, policemen, drivers, cleaners, and social workers, and so on. And I found that not only the doctors, everybody was contributing their strength to fight the epidemic, and everyone was trying their best to help us and to relieve our virus, and that touched me a lot. And I'm very proud to be a doctor in Wuhan.
Yes, indeed. A sense of community is probably the best thing you can teach to those young graduates joining society. And Professor Fan, since 2015, the graduation season activities have become a brand of your institution, the Central Academy of Fine Art. But because of COVID-19, most of those activities, including exhibitions, have to be taken online. So how difficult is that?
Yes, thank you for paying attention to CAFA's graduate season. As at the academy, the work of the graduate are like a summer flower growing on campus. Of course, starting from this spring, we've had a challenge. The first was that our students could only complete their works at home, but my professors and students get open talk about the art. So if the students just used some simple material, media, but their work is very interesting.
I know that one thing that is unique for art students is that they got a degree gown, which is the most beautiful apparel that an art student can probably acquire upon graduation, and they can be a very unique, unforgettable experience. Professor Fan?
Yes, yes, because the average students just like get some memory from the universities. So this year we give as a gift for average students and uniform. So I think this is the very important. We like to call is cloud memory.
And I know the exhibition, the cloud exhibition that you put up there, got 2 million views and 530,000 visitors from different countries around the world. Did this surprise you?
Yes, as far as I know, online exhibition is still the new thing for the museums and the galleries around the world. And there is not a fixed model. Our desire was to give the visitors an experience of the entering and the art gallery or museum. First, you know, Kafa Art Museum is the very famous building designed by Japanese architect Isosaki, which has a very, very great space and light. We have a group about the exhibition this year, so we are discuss how could show the students different style works. So we get the just like the real museum space, but it's not only in the museum and through the high pay lines, visitors can see the more work of each of the students' artists.
In a sense, it is a bigger museum with a larger audience of visitors. We'll take a short break and come back to our discussions on graduation of 2020. And of course, this is a big challenge facing those graduates upon graduation. That's finding a job. So Professor Fan, your students are facing probably difficult and different challenges this year finding a job. What policies does your academy or your institution have to help those students?
Yes, compared to other universities, our students will get a small challenges. So I mean, they are almost a good young artists already. Many design company and architecture company studio just need them. And in China, economic is the transformation, and there are new culture requirements too. Many Kappa students also have the good chance to set up and their works, such as the field of design and the culture collectives. Of course, we have some the new way to help students. And the Chinese government and the Minister of Education also have some good policies to the students. So up to now, we have about 70% students get some works.
70%? That's pretty impressive.
Yes, 70%.
What about the other 30%?
Some students just connect the art galleries and show their works, and some go into the company of the design, architecture, and publish house, and so on.
All right. Lorenzo, what about your plans after the pandemic? Do you wish to stay in China or go back to Italy?
Well, for now, after 6 years in China, always in Chongqing, my plan is to stay here, to find a job here, and continue to stay here. I don't want to go back. Maybe one day, but not now. Now my plan is to stay here.
Any specific plans? Does it have anything to do with the differences and exchanges between China and Italy?
Well, as I said in my speech, I've always been interested in the intercultural communication and the dialogue between nations, especially China and Italy. I studied Chinese language. I've been here for a long time. So I would like to find a job that lets me cultivate this passion of mine. And it could be both from the academic point of view, so academic exchange that are already in a quite good situation between our two countries, or also in the international commerce is another way to put our two countries in dialogue.
And I understand that Italy has just come out from the deepest troubles caused by this pandemic.
Yeah.
Have you communicated
right.
your experiences back to your friends and families in Italy? What do they think about your choice?
In the beginning, especially my family, they were a little bit scared because, of course, when the pandemic started here, we are far away, so they were, of course, a little bit scared. They thought I could be in danger. But then, after a while, I was explaining that we were contacting each other every day, and I was explaining to them that the situation was actually under control. So after a while, they started not worrying that much.
And Dr. Ding, you probably talked about a career change because of the profession of doctor and medical workers is so challenging and hard, and because of the increasing conflicts between doctors and patients, sometimes even becoming physical. But after your mission to Wuhan, do you have second thoughts?
No, of course not.
So you
no,
still will pursue the career of being a doctor?
Yes, after the mission, I would just insist my idea to be a good doctor. Not only because it was my childhood dream, and when I was very young, I just want to be a doctor to treat patients. But also, I found that in these conditions, as a doctor, I can fight for my country and for my people, and I can use my skills to treat and help the patients and help more other people. And this experience gave me a very deep impression that if you insist on your original aspiration, you wouldn't be influenced by the external environment, and you would finally receive recognition from others and the society. So the conflict between doctors and patients is just a small difficulty or just a small hill on your career, on your whole career. And I don't think just these small difficulties will change my aspiration.
But when you talking to those young graduates from Tongji Medical College, do they feel inspired by what they've seen in Wuhan, the doctors, their work in Wuhan, they're overcoming difficulties, they're paying their sacrifices to help others, or do they feel challenged because it's so hard and so difficult to keep their line of work?
Actually, when we come to Wuhan, the medical doctors, in China, we don't need these medical students to come to the front line because we have all
But they
these
must
doctors.
have seen what you've done and heard what you've accomplished.
Yes. I think that they can hear us from the internet and from the TV, and I think, and in my communication with our medical students in Beijing, and most of them were challenged. They just think that, okay, in such kind of epidemic in China, we as medical doctors, we can fight. We can just do something to my country, and they are just inspired. Or sometimes they will have a lot of challenge and just worry about their career. But I think, we as medical doctors, these difficulties is just a start of their career. And if they want to be a medical doctor, they will face more difficulties, setbacks, and even failures. Maybe they will just face some death, face the past of your patients. But don't be afraid. Just try your best to do your work, and you will be succeeded. And that's what I want to give that's what's the advice I want to give my graduates from medical school.
And tell us how satisfying it is to help a patient, to save a life, to help those people who are in distress and difficulties in the ICUs. I know you are an ICU doctor.
Yes, yes. You just can imagine that when a patient come to your room, your ICU, and all the vital signs of the life is passing away, and at that time you can use your skills and you can use some machines to help him to overcome the death, and you can see the patient will get better and better after your treatment. And I think that will be very satisfied as a doctor. And you will directly have the feeling that you are saving lives. Not only, and I think in most other area of medical and many doctors, they just say, oh, I gave them some medicine, medical drugs, and they have the drugs and they didn't come back. And they are treating patients. But if you want to see the patients are saved in front of you, I think the ICU will be a very good place. And that's why I love my career.
Well, saving lives. How can anybody do better than that? And Chongling, we talked about ambitions after graduation. So you earlier said you want to go abroad. Did the pandemic change your plan?
I haven't changed my plan because the destination I chose is well censored and under control, which is Singapore. That's Singapore. So I know that several news we received today that shocked our mind because of the first about the student visa policies in U.S. and also the dropouts of the WHO. So I would say I'm the lucky one, haven't chose U.S. as my graduation destination because not simply because the stricter student visa policy, but also I just came to realize that this country is getting afraid of taking the international responsibilities, and it will be really hard for us to get involved in the country, really, especially in terms of the graduation studies. So, but I believe that the long-term cooperations and international interactions will be the trend, and I believe that our country will take a really important part into it, and I just want to take my contributions. So I won't change my plans in the short term.
All right. Good luck to you. Thank you, Professor, for your take on this, and thank you, Li Chonglin. Thank you, Lorenzo, and thank you, Dr. Ding, for your speeches and insights. And that will do it for this edition of Dialogue on CGTN. I'm Zhou in Beijing. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.